Think Realty Nation, it's your host, Abhi Golhar. Welcome to the Think Realty podcast and the show that matters. We're talking about a very interesting investing strategy that you real estate investors should be considering as part of your overall arsenal of strategies. You know, listen, flipping is one thing, but you need the right kind of lead gen, especially in a world, if you are living in a world that has a very saturated market. You need the right kind of lead gen opportunities. You need to be thinking outside the box. My guest today is Philip Vincent from Mom's House, and we're going to be talking about the secret that he has and how he's able to find deals that, quite frankly, nobody is really tapping right now. And I think that's kind of interesting. So we'll be talking about that after his interview. And we found a very interesting article, and you want to pay attention to this article. It's the 2020 Cost versus Value Report. And some of the numbers here are very staggering. Let's say you spend a certain dollar amount on renovating your kitchen. What is the value that that investment will actually get you? That's coming up a little later. So I can't do this show. I Think Realty can't do the show without the support of its amazing sponsors. And so today's amazing sponsor is Norada Real Estate Investments. And my buddy Marco Santarelli over there, he's such an awesome, super stellar guy. And I'm just finding my cue to read here. This podcast, here we go. This podcast is brought to you by Norada Real Estate Investments, your premier source for cash flow investment property. Visit them, give them a lot of love at www.turnkeyrealestateinvestments.com. So Philip, welcome to the show. I'm excited to have you. We're going to talk a lot about tech and kind of your specific lead gen tactic. It's funny, I was, I have my cue cards here and I have everybody's numbers and things, and I was calling you. And I'm like, wait a minute, I have your cell phone number and it pops up as Philip Vincent. So at some point in time, our paths have crossed, and it's kind of interesting how that entire world of real estate, it just happens and it just works, and it's just so cool. So give us a little background. Who are you and what do you do?
I'm a real estate investor. This is my 21st year. I'm 41 years old, and so it means I started when I was 20. And I think I like to say I did this business backwards in the fact that I started off with new construction and I worked my way back to wholesaling, where just about everybody you meet, they start off as wholesalers and they want to take that profit and put it into flips or rentals. For me, I started with the new construction side and worked my way backwards. And what it was learning what not only am I good at, but what I like to do. And I'm really good at meeting with the families and figuring out what their problem is, their true problem. It's like a Rubik's Cube, right? You're trying to put it all together for them. Quarterbacking the deal, and I get to help families in their time of need. So I would consider myself a full-time acquisitions real estate man. That's what I do. I just think about how to buy houses all day long.
So Philip, that's awesome, man. I mean, 21 years as a real estate veteran. I mean, you understand the game and you know where. And I feel like if you've been in the real estate industry and the investing space for quite a while, you can start to predict trends and take a look at hey, if everybody's sending out yellow letters, I need to be focusing on something else. What has been your go-to kind of magic stick approach to finding leads that actually make sense, that you can work with, that aren't really hard tax liens or probate leads? Have you been able to isolate a specific strategy that's been winning for you right now?
Definitely. And I think I've always had a curious, first of all, if you're in real estate, you realize that you're in the marketing business. And to get your phone to ring, there's a million tactics to do that. But I also suffer from that. I like to work smarter, not harder. And sometimes that can be a crippling thing to where you might just have this analysis paralysis where you don't do anything because you feel like everything is just too hard. And so for me, I like to find things that are the most right. And what I mean by that is in marketing, when you're having the conversation at the right time, the sale is pretty easy. When you're having the conversation with the person at the wrong time, the sale is really hard. And when I say sale, I mean the purchase, right? We buy houses. And so in 2011, the company did 66 houses that year. And I said, what is it about these 66 houses is the similarity? What is it about these deals that has the same, not all of them, there's always outliers, but what is it about these deals that's the same? And we came up with this story that I still use to this day, is that the perfect lead is dad died 8 years ago. Mom's been in the house doing the best she can. She just fell again. The kids are now taking mom around to the different senior living communities to try to get her the best care. And they need to unlock that equity out of that house to move mom into the $9,300 a month senior living community. And that, I said, so is anyone going out and talking to the senior living communities? And Brian said, no, nobody's doing that yet. You should go do that. And so in 2011, I started going out and networking with senior living communities. And I found that if you can get past the insulated community of senior living, if you can get to that trust factor, that these are truly the most qualified leads I've ever had. When I'm looking at what a lead is to me, the two things I need or want is equity and motivation. And the motivation is through the roof always, and the equity is almost always 100%. So I found these to be the best leads that I've ever found. And this is from a guy that's been a part of millions of dollars of ad spend. Even today, we spend a lot of money on advertising, on everything, right? Everybody's doing ringless voicemail and direct mail, the tried and true methods.
Yeah.
But how many guys have I talked to in the past week that said, I do direct mail, but I get there and there's 38 postcards on their table, and so you're one of 38, where I'm talking about
that's a good point.
being the only guy. And so I like to fish in ponds by myself. I'd rather talk to 10 people and buy 5 houses than I would to talk to 1,500 people and buy 5 houses. I don't have time for that.
So how do I find these kind of deals? Because it seems a lot easier to go buy list and then go do a ringless voicemail and barrage text messages and a bunch of emails and then throw them into my funnel. But where do I find these leads?
Right. And so the method you just spoke of is more of a spray and pray kind of model.
Yeah.
I would argue that you're working at that too. We all, that analysis paralysis, I think we all don't want to work. We all want that magic bullet.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I'm a networker anyway. Like I enjoy networking. And so going out and building relationships with people, I like people. So I like to build relationships. And when you do it in this industry the right way, you will have a rolling harvest for as long as you're in the business. As long as people get old in your town, this is a thing, because that is the moment when they're going to need to sell. I don't think it's off topic. You had brought up the probate leads earlier, and we love probate leads. We work probate leads. We love them. Let me just give you an example of the difference between a probate lead and what I'm doing.
Okay.
A probate lead means someone has passed away and they have a house, or they might not have a house, but in our case, we want the ones that do have a house, right?
Yep.
So when you work that lead, they want to sell the house because mom has passed away. So if me and you were brothers and our mom passed away, now me and you are looking at it and what's in it for us, right? Because we're going to inherit that money. Mom has passed away, so that money is coming to us. So you and I look at it as what's in it for us. So the human nature of, it's not greedy, it's just what's in it for us. If you and I were brothers and mom needed to move into senior living, it's the exact opposite, because mom's still alive. So whether you get 84 grand or 78 grand or 94 grand for that house, it almost doesn't matter to us, the sons who are helping mom move in. It's more, where is mom going to get the best care?
Yeah, that's right.
So talk about the size of the market. 7 out of 10 people over the age of 60 will move into some form of assisted care in their life.
Yeah.
Which means they're going to need to sell that house way before they pass away.
Yes.
Absolutely. So 7 out of 10 is the size I'm talking about. The 3 out of 10, and I call them the lucky ones, the ones that got to make it all the way through in their house.
Yeah.
That's usually the probate leads that you're working.
Got it.
So the size of my market is gigantic. And, this opportunity, I hate to use the word wave because waves crash.
Yeah.
But I do think I'm going to turn 42 this month. I do think I have a nice 10 to 15 year run of these boomers that are going to continue to cycle out.
Yeah.
And, their parents are passing away. And so for as long as I'm going to be in real estate, I think that this is going to be a thing that's going to be relevant in our business. And that's hard to find. The marketing used to work years ago, it doesn't work now.
Yeah.
And it's ever changing, but this thing is pretty evergreen.
It's pretty solid. And that's why even like senior assisted living, right? For example, that is always going to be here. You're tying real estate to healthcare, and it is, that's not going away, right? Like I know when I'm old, when I'm 85 or 90, like I'm going to have my own facility, right? So I'm going to get like penthouse suite, like that's going to be me, just because I'm kind of bougie like that. But
yeah, I totally agree. Yeah.
Right? But I get it. So from a takeaway perspective, for a new investor or even an experienced investor, it sounds like this is something that I should be paying attention to, right? Like this isn't like a trend or a fad that's just going to be around for 1 or 2 or 3 years. It's going to be here 15, 20, 30 years.
Yep.
What are some maybe steps 1, 2, and 3 on maybe how I can take advantage of the opportunity, or maybe how I can work with you and momshouse.com to maybe further solidify a relationship, get involved in some deals, and get things going?
Great question. Newbies will be at a disadvantage with this because of the trust factor. So unless you can walk, I mean, think about a $100 million senior living community that's in your town. Them referring to you, think how valuable that is, because you're already dealing with seniors, and seniors get taken advantage of all the time from so many scamsters. So having a trust with the community and with the families is paramount. You have to have the trust. And so people who just got in the business, who are even timid to write a contract or know how to write a contract, I think it's not for them. We kind of talk about, my partner and I kind of talk about doing deals with people that do 20 plus deals a year. And it's not a really a number that they have to do that many deals a year. It's more, we have a 2-day training course to answer your question. So the 2-day training course, we go a deep dive into what I've done to create this channel in my market of St. Louis. And we get down to the granular level of how to work with this community, this insulated senior living community. And when you hear it from the high level, you think, oh, if you're a go-getter, I'm just going to go knock on the door and put my hand out and give them my card, and they're going to call me. The answer is probably not. The senior living communities, you got to kind of look at them as almost like a high school, where the director is dealing with 140 families. There's life and death going on, literal life and death going on. Yeah. Underpaid, overworked, and you are going to come in and try to sell them like blindly. Don't do it that way, is what I'm trying to say. People hear this on the surface and they think, oh, okay, I'll go knock on the door. Don't do it that way. There's ways to reach these people, the stakeholders in the senior living industry, the right way. And I'm teaching people how to do it the right way so as to get traction and to learn from the mistakes that I've made since 2011 to build this into really my best lead source that I've ever found.
That's incredible. And here I thought tax liens was like the next new thing. And I've been buying tax liens every month since 2018. And I took a break over the last maybe couple of months just because there's too much activity. And when you have like the tax lien gurus come out, then it's like, all right, well, I'm going to take a little bit of a break. But this sounds like something that I would love to work on, or at least add to my arsenal of lead gen tactics, because it just makes sense, right? You have an aging population. They're going to transfer assets and exit these assets and sell these assets. The question is, how can they do that most effectively, the quickest? And Mom's House can help with that. So, Philip, I certainly appreciate it, man. This has been a really awesome conversation. I'm excited to maybe see you guys soon. I'll make sure to fly to Kansas City?
St. Louis, yeah.
St. Louis.
Yeah, I'm in St. Louis. My partner's in Kansas City. So we're Missouri. We're a Missouri company.
Awesome. I used to live a little outside of St. Louis, so very familiar with the area. I loved Landings and all that. It's a fantastic little town. I have a question about St. Louis, though. In 2018 or 2019, I think maybe it was 2018, if I remember correctly, Realtor.com said that St. Louis would be like the #1 city for flipping, I think. Was that,
yes.
Do you remember, was that the case? Did they end up hitting the #1 spot, or what is it about St. Louis that makes it a strong market still?
Well, the values are so low compared to the rest of the country.
Okay.
So if you're an investor trying to get a return on your money, we talk to people every day from China, from California, from New York, from Denver, right? These places where the average home is $400,000 or $500,000, and you can buy one here for 80 or 30. You can buy a decent house here for 30 grand that rents for $900 a month. And so it's a great place. It is, and it's a stable town.
Yeah.
We also are on the. You got to remember too. We're also on those murder lists, like with Detroit.
Right. I'm like, no different than Detroit. John, Philip, here's my money. Right.
And let's talk about perception, though, or you can't. I always say you can't argue with numbers. And let me just explain that to you. I live in St. Louis, and I feel very safe. Right.
Yeah.
The reason why that number is so skewed is we're one of the only North American cities that has a separate county and city.
So yes, that's right.
City, and there's only 300,000 people that live in the city. So the crime stats for St. Louis City seem much, much bigger than they are. But if you extrapolate them over the full 2.8 million people that live in the metro area, we're really like 91st on the crime list.
I did not think about it that way before.
Yeah, and so when you explain it, you're like, okay, yes, there's crime here, and no changing that view doesn't make the crime less. It's divided over 2.8 million versus all the crime in the 300,000.
Well, hey, every day is a school day for me. I love the education, man. Thanks so much. I'm going to take a double take on St. Louis now for me. That's awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
Hey, you got it, Philip. Thanks a lot. What's the best way to get in touch with you? Maybe an email address or maybe anywhere online?
Sure. Momshouse.com. MOMSHOUSE.
Momshouse.com. Philip, thanks so much for the time. I appreciate it, man.
Have a good day. Thank you.
You too. The next segment is brought to you by Clint Coons of Anderson Business Advisors. He's nationally recognized for providing bulletproof asset protection, tax, and business strategy advice to real estate investors. Go to getbulletprooftoday.com and receive Clint's book titled Asset Protection for Real Estate Investors for free while supplies last. So here's the deal. We take a look at investing in things on a flip or a long-term buy and hold or even your personal home. But what kind of value are you really getting for the things that you're investing in? A recent report from Housing Wire suggests that you might want to pay attention to what you're actually putting into your home. For example, the cost of a job to replace a garage door, on average nationally, costs you $3,695, okay? The value, when you sell that home, the value that new garage door brings to the home, $3,491. The trend, that's going downward, obviously. Let's take a look at something a little more in our wheelhouse as real estate investors. A minor kitchen remodel, the average cost of that, $23,452. How much value does that bring you? You want to take a guess? $18,206. Interesting, huh? Let's take a look at something else. Window replacement, vinyl. A vinyl window replacement costs $17,400 roughly. The value, $12,700. You want to add a deck, a wood deck? It's going to cost you $14,000. The value that it brings, $10,000. A universal design bathroom. The cost, $34,600. The value, $21,463 roughly. A major kitchen remodel, and that's like a mid-range. We're looking at a $68,000 remodel, and the value, $40,000. A master suite addition, that's going to cost you roughly about $136,000 nationally, and the value that's going to bring is $80,000 in total value. Ouch. So flippers, if you're thinking about really going all in, make sure that you have the right contractors and the right price points for your materials, because by the looks of it, I don't know how much of a return you're going to get. Think Realty Nation, that's the wrap for the show. If you want to get in touch, of course, go to thinkrealty.com and make sure you ask questions. And this is some really important stuff, right? It's going to change how you think now about remodels. Look at that. Who knew? The more you know. Okay. Today's sponsor, today's podcast is brought to you by Norada Real Estate Investments, your premier source for cash flow investment property. Check them out. Go to www.turnkeyrealestateInvestments.com. I've had a lot of fun. You want to get in touch with me? Feel free to get in touch anywhere online. I love Instagram, and LinkedIn is really my game right now. I love LinkedIn. You can find me there at Abhi Golhar. Until next time, Think Realty Nation. Happy investing.